All right, so now we're on the third page of notes, and we're going to have to find the area of just the shaded region of the shape below, and then we're going to find the area of the entire shape. So let's take a look at the shaded region below. So the shaded region goes from here to here to here to here, and we can see that that's a rectangle. And to find the area of a rectangle, we're going to do base times height, or you could do length times width. Now, they're not labeled, but we can figure out the dimensions by looking at other parts of the composite shape. For example, if this is the base and it's the exact same length as this base, that means the base of our rectangle is going to also be 2. And for example, if this is the height and it's the exact same length as this side of the shape, then our height is going to be 5. To find our area, we're just going to do 2 times 5, and we're going to get 10 square units. So this part is going to be 10 units squared. All right, now it says to find the area of the entire shape. So in order to do that, I'm just going to have to find the area of the 2 other rectangles. So to find the area here, I'm going to do area equals base times height. The base is 4 and the height is 5, so I'm going to do 4 times 5, and I'm going to get 20. So the area of this section of the composite shape is 20. And then I need to find the area of this rectangle. So I'm going to do area equals base times height. So the base is 2 and the height is 3, so I'm going to do 2 times 3, and I'm going to get the area of 6. So this area is 6. Now to find the area of the entire composite shape, I just need to add up all the areas that I just found. So I'm going to add 10 plus 20 plus 6. So to the side, 10 plus 20 plus 6. What's the area of the entire composite shape? 36 units squared. All right, oops, sorry. Next one. In the accompanying diagram, a circle with a radius of 4 is inscribed in a square. What is the area of the shaded region? So now we have to be careful because it wants the area of the shaded region. And if you look at the shaded region, it's almost like a triangle, but the sides are rounded where the shape matches up with the circle. So somehow we're going to have to find the area of that shaded region. Now, I don't know what shape that is, but there are some basic shapes here that I do know that I can use to find out the area of the shaded region. So 2 of the shapes that I do know is a circle and a square. The whole shape is a square, right? So the whole shape is a square, but I don't want the area of the whole shape. I just want the area of the shaded region, which means I'm going to have to cut out the area of the circle. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to find the area of the entire square, and I'm going to find the area of the circle, and I'm going to subtract. I'm going to find the area of the entire square, and then if I take the area of the circle away, I'm left with just the area of these rounded shaded parts to the side. So let's go ahead and do that. So let me erase this bit. So the area of the square. Now to do the area of the square, you guys can do side squared, or you can do base times height, which is the same formula that we would use for any parallelogram. So the base here, they don't have labeled. The height, they don't have labeled. But they do tell us that the radius of the circle is 4. And if the radius of the circle is 4, that means that the entire diameter of the circle would be 4 times 2, which would be 8. And if the diameter of the circle is 8, that means that this side will also be 8. And if one side of a square is 8, that means that all sides of the square are 8. So that means the base is 8 and the height is also 8. So the area of the square is going to be 64. Now I'm going to have to find the area of the circle. So let's take a look at the circle. Now to find the area of a circle, the formula is on your blue reference sheet, but we're going to write it down right here. Area equals pi r squared. Now r is the radius, which goes halfway across the circle, and we were given the radius of 4. So we know it's pi times 4 squared. Now to follow order of operations, I have to do 4 squared, which is 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Pi is that if I take the area of the entire square and take away the area of the circle, I'm left with just these rounded shaded parts to the side. So my answer for the area of the shaded region is going to be 64 minus 16 pi. And that's my answer in terms of pi. Now go ahead and plug that in your calculator, 64 minus 16 pi, and write down all of the digits that you get except the last one. So I got 13.7345175 ... All right, now let's round to the nearest tenth. The tenths place has a 7, so I'm going to cut the number off at the 7. Now looking over, the next number over is a 3, so I'm going to keep it a 7. So it's going to be 13.7 units squared. All right, next one. Jonathan is going to paint a basketball court on his driveway as shown in the diagram below. The court consists of a rectangle and a semicircle. What's the area of the basketball court? Now, again, this is a composite shape because this shape we don't have a name for, but we do know that we can break this shape into two basic shapes. So here's the semicircle, and this is not a square, this is a rectangle. And if I find the area of the semicircle and I add it onto the area of the rectangle, I should have the area of the entire shape. So let's start with the area of the rectangle because that's pretty easy. Area equals base times height. The base is 10 and the height is 8. So I'm going to do 10 times 8, and I'm going to get 80. So that means that the area of the rectangle is 80 square feet. Now to find the area of the semicircle, I'm going to do area equals. Now this is not a whole circle. A whole circle would have an area of pi r squared. This is a half of a circle. So I could put a half in front, or if you like using 0.5 better, you can use 0.5. That also works. All right, so let's start plugging in our radius. Area equals 0.5 pi, and now I have to plug in my radius and square it. Now they didn't give us the radius. The radius starts at the center and goes towards the edge of the circle. They didn't give us that, but they did give us that this side length is 8, which means the entire diameter of this circle is 8, which means that half of that, the radius, would have to be 4. So I'm going to plug in 4 here. And then I'm going to write area equals 0.5 pi 4 squared. 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. Now I'm going to take the two constants here and multiply them. Not that pi is not a constant, but we're going to ignore pi for a second. So I have 0.5 and I also have 16. What's half of 16? 8. So my answer for the area of this semicircle is 8 pi. So we're going to add these two areas together. So the area of the entire composite shape is 80 plus 8 pi. Now I can't make that 88 pi because one of the numbers has pi and one of the numbers does not. All right, so go ahead and plug that in your calculator so that we can round it to the nearest tenths place. When you plug it into your calculator, you should get 105.132741 ... Now the tenths place has a 1 in it, so I'm going to cut it off right there. Looking over, I'm not going to round it up. I'm just going to keep it the same. So it's 105.1 square feet.